Welcome to the 5th episode of the Eldenwood Craft podcast. My name's Emma and this is a podcast about my crafty life. Mainly I will be talking about what I have been knitting. In fact, almost exclusively I'll be talking about what I've been knitting. But thank you very much for coming and spending a little bit of your day with me. If you are a returning viewer, thank you ever so much. I really do appreciate you coming back. And if you are a new viewer, hello, a big hello to you, and thank you ever so much for checking me out. If you enjoy the podcast, please do click on the give me a thumbs up below, and the best way to keep up to date with what I'm doing is to subscribe to the video, and you'll be able to find all the details about how to do that below. Excuse me. I've got my show notes just to the side here, so if I look that way, you'll know what I'm doing. Where you can find me, I mainly hang out on Instagram. That's where I spend most of my time when I'm online. But I also have an Eldenwood Craft Facebook page, I have an Eldenwood Craft Twitter page, and I am Eldenwood Craft on Ravelry as well. I also have a website, eldenwoodcraft.co.uk, which kind of brings everything together, and I will be putting my show notes up on there shortly after this episode goes live, I hope. I'm not too bad at doing show notes. They're normally up within a day or so, and I actually quite like doing them. So that's where you can find me. What I'll be talking about today, well, I've got the usual, get my words out, the usual sort of chatter about what my whips are. I have got some finished objects today, unlike last time, so I'll be showing you those. I will be showing you something out of my box of shame. I'll be having a quick chat about what my knitting plans are and showing you some treats that are just down here that I received in the post since we last had a chat together. And right at the very end, I will have a quick update on my Etsy shop. There's not much to say, but yeah, we'll come to that at the end. So let's move on with the whips. Yeah, so what shall I show you first? I'm going to show you my cardigan first, and I can't see it. That's because it's over there. Hang on 1 second. I'm still here. I'm coming back. Oops. I spent such a long time planning this podcast this morning. Those of you who do podcasts, you will know what work goes into putting a podcast together. I sat down about an hour ago thinking, right, I'll just do a few show notes, gather my bits and pieces together, and away we go, because the house is quiet this morning. My husband is out having a haircut, excuse me, and my daughter is out. She's, poor thing's, having to spend the weekend at school. She's doing her Bronze Duke of Edinburgh award, and they have a planning meeting or planning weekend this weekend for an expedition that they have to go on. So she's at school, the house is quiet. I thought, perfect time to do a podcast. And I was really keen to do one this weekend because I'm not going to be able to do one for the next couple of weekends because we are, I've got my in-laws staying next weekend, and we're going up to London to see Elbow next weekend as well, which I'm really excited about. So we've got a really busy couple of weeks coming up, and I really wanted to get something out to let you know that I'm still around. So I spent what turned out to be about an hour getting everything ready, and the first thing I want to show you, I'd forgotten, it was over on the sofa. So here it is, my colouring cardigan by Katrin Schneider. I showed this to you for the first time in the last podcast. It was I'd wanted to knit a garment. This is my first garment. And I've really been enjoying it. It's a very simple cardigan. I'm knitting it out of Cascade 220. I've got my bag of unwound, unballed up skeins here. So it's Cascade 220, which is a sport weight yarn. Each of these skeins is 50 grams, and in that you get 164 yards or 150 metres. So the main body of the cardigan is going to be knit out of this lovely dark grey yarn. Somebody asked me what the Cascade was like. It's the first time I've knit out of this, and when I first got it, I was expecting it to be quite a I don't know. I wouldn't have been surprised if it was a scratchy, quite hard, brittle yarn, but actually it's really soft, and I'm really enjoying knitting out of it. So the main body of the cardigan is being knit out of this grey, and then it has a different coloured neckband and button band and different coloured wrists and border at the bottom. The border and the neckband, the neckband and the button band are being knit out of this. I think the colour for this is Mineral. You can see it's lovely, sort of a bit duck eggy. It's coming out fairly true to colour on screen. And then the wrist bands, the cuffs and the bottom border are being knit out of this green. I can't remember what this one is called. Just says colour 8914, which is not very helpful. It's kind of an appley limey green. But I think the three of them, whoops, that's about to fall on the floor. The three of them go really nicely together. So that's what I'm knitting it out of, and the progress that I'm being made, there's my current ball, progress that's being made. I'm quite pleased with how I've got on. It's a really straightforward knit. Those of you who are garment knitters will would probably this will probably fly off your needles. But let me show you where I've got to. I've got all sorts of needles and bits and cables holding the sleeves. So that's what all the noise is. Right. Really difficult to show actually, but that's how far I've got. Sorry, this is very unprofessional, isn't it? I just wanted to show you the edges of the... There. You can see. Right, let's just start again. So, there's the cardigan. You can see the splits for the armholes, and I'm kind of that far... Oh, honestly, this is so difficult. That far beyond the break for the armhole. So it's just in the really easy stage now. It's just knit, 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 purl, purl, purl back. I'm going to knit it so it comes down to just below my hip bone, I think. So I've got quite a long way to go. I really enjoyed doing the short row shaping for the neckline and the raglan increases. So I've really enjoyed knitting it. I had intended to enter this for the newfangled make along that Zoe from the Pins and Needles podcast is hosting. That finishes on Tuesday. It's the end of the month, I think, and with the very best will in the world, there's not a chance that I'm going to have this finished for then, which is a shame because I really wanted to enter a CAL. It's not something that I normally do, just because I don't tend to have time for sort of deadline knitting like that. And I had really hoped to be able to enter that for Zoe's Cal, but not to be. I have, however, got a couple of other things that could be entered for that, and I'll have to get those up on Zoe's, on the group's Ravelry page for that Cal, but I'll show you those in a minute. So that's my colouring cardigan. I don't think there's anything else to say about that. Let me just check. No. But I'll show you the progress next time, because I'm really enjoying working on it, and I don't think I'll have finished it by the next episode, but I hope to be a good way down the body, if not on the sleeves. Okay, the next thing to show you, my next WIP, I think it's, yeah, pair of socks. I've done quite a lot of sock knitting over the last few weeks. I have 2 pairs of socks on the go at the moment. These are the socks that I have been working on, or that I'm currently working on, in my lovely bag from Luli. I really like Luli's bags. They are very nice, really nicely made, and Lee always chooses really nice fabrics. So what I am knitting, I'm using, sort of a bit of a mess, the Arnie and Carlos design, or one of the Arnie and Carlos design line yarns. I don't think I've got the ball band in here, no, but I think, it's a very popular yarn, this one, and I'm sure it's the Summer Nights colourway. Beautiful colours. Those blues are really up my street. I'm really enjoying how it's coming out. As you can see, I'm knitting 2 at a time, or I'm knitting 2 concurrently. I'll show you the first one. I have gone past the heel turn on both of them. I'm knitting them cuff down on 2.25 needles. They're just vanilla socks, little shorty vanilla socks. And I've done the heel turn, and in fact there is no heel turn. That's right. This heel has been knit using Mina's mini heel flap and German short row heel. That's right. So I'm knitting this pattern for the first time. So these are a pair of socks that I'm going to enter for Zoe's newfangled make along. Having trouble getting my words out today, bad podcaster. And I thought I'd give these a go, because I do quite often find that the socks that I knit are a little bit tight around the instep. And Mina has developed this genius way of adding a mini heel flap into a short row heel turn. So I'm sure you could adapt many short row heels or afterthought heels to incorporate the mini heel flap. It's a paid for pattern, but it's not an expensive pattern at all, and it's the first of Mina's patterns that I've bought, and it's fabulously explained, goes into a lot of detail, as you would expect from Mina. Mina is the knitting expat, who is a super sock knitter and designer, and who has just had her new baby. Congratulations, Mina. I hope you'll all be very happy. Very exciting times. But anyway, so this is the progress on the first sock. The other thing to say about this is that I used a different cast on. I used it's called the Old Norwegian, or the German twisted cast on. I think I've got that right. And it gives a really, really, look at that, stretchy cast on. It's a really nice cast on to use, and I think I will use that going forward on all of my socks, or anything where you need a very stretchy edging. There are lots of tutorials for that online, very easy to find. So yeah, so that's the first. Looks a bit like Pac-Man, doesn't it? Pac-Man. Anyway, so yeah, so that's the first, and the second one I've made a little bit more progress on. There, you can see the sort of structure of the sock a bit better on that one. There we go. So yeah, so I'm well into the foot on that one. The one thing I wasn't massively keen on about this was just how much of a big block at the back you get with this particular pattern on the yarn. It can't be helped, it's just the way the patterning goes in line with the mini heel flap. But I don't dislike it that much that I wanted to rip it back. So yeah, so not got too much further to go on that one. So they will be finished, I would have thought, within the next week maybe. I'm hoping to do I think I'm going to do a different toe as well. I usually just do a rounded toe and Kitchener it closed. I think I might try the whirlwind toe that Jules from So Sweet Violet talks about and does on her socks. It looks really pretty, and I looked that up online this week. So I think I'll give that one a go. So that will be all sorts of new things going into that sock. So definitely one to add into Zoe's knit along. That's really the main things that I'm working on. I have been doing a little bit on my blanket, although I'm mid square. Let me see how much of this I can show you sensibly. Yeah, so I can't remember how much I'd shown you last time. I think I was sort of somewhere around these squares. So I'm basically adding to I've added to the width. I'm not sure how many squares wide it is, but I've reached the width that I think I want it to be, and now I'm just building up row by row at this end to get it to the same depth here, and then I will work the rows further up. And just keep going. I'm really enjoying it. I'm loving, I had a big influx of minis from lots of lovely friends on Instagram over the last couple of months, so I'm really enjoying putting those into the blanket. It's such a comforting thing to do, and I love sitting in the early mornings when the rest of the house is asleep knitting on that. It's a lovely thing with a podcast and a cup of tea. What more could a girl want? So yeah, so that's my blanket. It's had a little bit of love, not a massive amount, but a little bit. Right. The other whips that you've seen over the last few shows, most of those really are in hibernation, but I'm going to be talking about some of them in upcoming knitting plans. So we'll leave the whips for now. What I do want to show you is some finished objects. Last time I had no finished objects, but today I have two, and they are two pairs of socks. The first, I didn't bring my sock blockers down. Never mind, you'll be able to see them fine without. The first pair is my Christmas Eve cast on, and the second pair is a pair of socks that I had promised in the Knitters Pay It Forward thing that was going around Instagram towards the end of last year. So I'll come to that in a minute. Let me show you my Christmas Eve cast on socks first of all. There they are. Two of them. Lovely, lovely colourway. So these are just vanilla socks with a heel flap and turn. And this is becoming my standard sort of vanilla sock pattern anyway, although the modifications that I've done in my current sock whip, I think I will build into my my vanilla sock recipe. So this is a 2x1 cuff for about 15 rows, and then I knit, I'm not sure, I think that's about 60 rows, heel flat and turn, and just straight down to the foot, and a rounded, oops, piece of fluff on there, a rounded toe and kitchened off. Lovely yarn. The yarn is the chocolate orange colourway from Lilac Tree Yarns. I think that's right. I'm sorry if I've got that wrong. Emma at Lilac Tree Yarns. So yeah, this was one of her Christmas colourways. So I knit this on Christmas. I cast this on Christmas Eve, joining in with Little Bobbin's Christmas Eve cast on, and I finished it in February. I'd hoped to finish it in January, but I didn't quite get there. But I was very comforted on Instagram to see that I wasn't the only person who was still knitting on their Christmas Eve socks. So hello to all you February Christmas Eve sock knitters. We're in good company. So yeah, so that's another pair of socks for the sock drawer. I went, actually, something to tell you on these. I had been knitting my socks on 2.5mm needles, but something inside me just said, actually, I probably should be knitting on 2.25, and these were knit on 2.25 on the same needles that I'm knitting my Arnie and Carlos socks out of. These are the higher sharp DPNs, which I really like. I think they're my favourite sock needles at the moment. So I knit these on 2.25mm needles rather than 2.5, and the fit is much better. It gives a nice, a tighter fabric. So yeah, so I think 2.25 is the way to go for my future socks. So the other pair of socks that I have, these, I mentioned these in the last episode. I think I might have shown you the cuff poking out from the needle cozy, maybe, but I couldn't show you anymore because they were a secret. As I said, they were a sock that I promised to knit following the Pay It Forward thing that was going on Instagram, and the lovely Kelly won that particular oh no, it wasn't a competition, was it? It was gosh, I can't remember how it worked now. As I get older, my mind is starting to wander and forget things, which is a little bit worrying. But anyway, most of you probably will know the Knitters Pay It Forward hashtag that was going around Instagram. However it was decided upon for my particular thing, Kelly, you won it. I know you watch this, Kelly. Hello. And I have been promising you this pair of socks for such a long time, and they are finished, you'll be delighted to hear. And these are they. There you go, proof that there are two socks. I'd as you know, Kelly, I had cast on and started to knit. I think this is the third reincarnation of the sock. The first two just didn't seem to work with the yarn. I wasn't very happy with the way the patterning was coming out. So what I decided to do was just to knit a plain vanilla sock, but put in a different heel. So Kelly, what you've got is some really beautiful Yantan Tetherer yarns. Yarn. It's her, I think it's her Cliffs and Sky colourway. It was, I bought it because it was inspired by her trips to Cornwall, and we have family in Cornwall, so I thought, oh, that would be a perfect yarn to get. I've had it in my stash for a good few months. But what the pattern is, it is a basic vanilla sock, but it's got a different heel construction, and it's the Vanilla is the New Black pattern. I can't remember who it's by, but I'll put the details in the show notes. And as you can see, it's got a very different heel construction, and I absolutely loved it. I wonder if you'll be able to see it well if I show it that way. So yeah, you can see that it's knit with these knits and pearls, giving you a sort of a ribbed effect heel, and then you do a little heel turn, and then you decrease. It's got a very short gusset decrease section, and then you're onto the foot. So that was a really nice heel. I have tried it on, Kelly, just to see what the heel fitted like, and for me it was lovely. I really like the heel. I'm going to knit some more socks with that heel pattern. So yeah, Kelly, these will be winging their way to you very, very soon. I have washed them, and I'll be packaging them up in the next few days to get them out to you. So hope you like them. I've never knit anything for. Certainly never knit any socks for anybody. I've knit a couple of cowls for my mother-in-law, and I have knit a scarf for my mum. I don't know, she doesn't wear that. So these are the first socks. So yeah, hope you like them. Okay, what comes next? That's all my finished objects for this week. But what I do want to tell you about is what I'm wearing. Let me just have a quick drink. So this is an item from my box of shame. If you look back to, I think it was podcast episode number 2, I brought my box of shame out to spur me on to get all the things that I'd knit and not woven the ends in on and not blocked, bring them out into the world and let them have the freedom that they deserved. So this was one that I was really looking forward to getting blocked and woven, and it's my Pebble Beach shawl, patterned by Helen Stewart of the Curious Handmaid. It's knit in Madeline Tosh Prairie, which is a lace weight yarn, and it's the calligraphy colourway, nice neutral. And Helen's pattern came in 3 different sizes, a small, a medium and a large, and I decided to knit the large version because I wanted, what I actually wanted was a large, fine shawl to take away with me on holiday last summer, to wrap around my shoulders in the evenings. That obviously didn't happen. This is the first outing that it has had. It blocked yesterday. Being lace weight yarn, it blocked really, really quickly. It dried really quickly. So I was able to take it off the blocking mats this morning and wrap it round. And it is absolutely lovely. I'm very, very, very pleased with it. I'll just show you it off my neck. You can still see me through. And you won't be able to see the ends of my hands, but it's certainly about the length of my wingspan. Don't know if I show you the yarn up close. It's beautiful yarn. I guess you would expect that from Madeline Tosh. It's a very pale, sort of neutral. It's got, unusually for me, it's got a very, very faint touch of the pinks in it, sort of a dusky pink, but it's also got a, not sure you'll be able to see it, but it's got a grey running through it as well. It's really unusual colouring, and you can see through how fine it is. You would expect that from a lace weight yarn. I'm really, really pleased with it, and I think this will get an awful lot of wear. I don't think I will put it back on now. If you've never knit a pattern by one, or if you've never knit one of Helen Stewart's patterns before, and that was the first one that I'd knit, I think, they are so well written. Helen is known for her progress checklist. So she writes out every line that you need to knit, and you get a percentage checklist as you're going through to show you how far through the pattern that you are. Such well written. I really enjoyed it, and if I have the time after I've knit all my other things that I want to knit, I will definitely make another one of those, maybe in a heavier weight yarn, I'm not sure. But yeah, really nice, beautiful, very pleased with that. Okay, I've mentioned that I would talk about knitting plans. I don't have any great knitting plans, but I thought I would let you know what I plan to do over the next few months, so you know what you can expect to see on the podcast, and that will keep me hopefully on track with keeping up with my knitting. Shawl that I've had on the needles for a long time is my Spark of Grey shawl. This has had absolutely no progress on it since you last saw it, but I really want to get this finished off. Probably what I'm going to do is carry on knitting with my cardigan. I'm pointing over there because that's where it is. And at the same time knit on this, get this finished. I haven't got very far to go with it. I think I've probably got about 10 more rows and then the border, and then it'll be finished, and that would be really good to get that off the needles, because I would like to be able to get somewhere out of that this year. So the Spark of Grey shawl will get finished maybe by the next podcast, who knows. So I'll keep on with my cardigan, and then once I've finished my Arnie and Carlos socks, I want to finish another pair of socks that I have on the needles that I'm also knitting concurrently, and these are my Mercury socks, which again haven't had any progress, I don't think, since I last podcast. They've been stored up in my bag and getting all tangled. Really lovely pattern, amazing yarn, beautiful yarn from Molly of the Homespun House. I love this yarn so much. Again, it's got those blues that I love, and the greys, and some purples in there. So I will finish those off. As you can see, I'm still on the leg, but I think I will be turning or doing the heel flap fairly soon on those. Then I have got my hollow shawl. So once my Spark of Grey shawl is done, I'm going to go on to the hollow shawl, which is a pattern by Melody of the Mandarines podcast. I showed that to you possibly 2 podcasts ago, and I have made so little progress on that. I haven't even brought that down with me today. But I really want to knit on that. It was what I was knitting on, I was really enjoying. So that will be the next thing to crack on with. And then once all that's done, my next knitting cast on, aside from socks, I will always have a pair of socks on the go, I say will be. I would like it to be a Stephen West pattern. I've not knit a Stephen West pattern before, and the one that really sparks my interest is Vertices Unite. I have had this in my queue for a while, and I saw on the which podcast was it? Oh, it was on the I'm going to say this in my French accent and probably butcher it, but it was on the Espace Tricot podcast from Canada, and one of the, I can't remember the names of the ladies who host the podcast, but they have such a beautiful aesthetic with their knitting. I absolutely love everything that they knit pretty much, and one of them showed the Vertices Unite shawl. And I thought, when I saw that, I thought, I've just got to knit this. Now, she had knit it in, it's a modular shawl. I might try and put a picture in here if I can. But it's on Ravelry, very easy to find if you wanted to go and have a look. But it's a modular shawl, as you would expect from Stephen West, I suppose, knit in different chunks. And I suppose the intention with the pattern is that these different parts of the shawl are all knit in different colours. And obviously being Stephen West, a lot of them are very bright and bold colours, which is not my style, and I will be knitting it in much more muted, probably neutrals, blues, greys, and that sort of thing. But the one that I'd seen on the Espace Tricot podcast was knit in one colour, and it was beautiful. It was knit in a grey, but it had a just a very I think it was a navy blue border to it. It was just stunning, and I would highly recommend both the podcast itself and checking out their Ravelry page to have a look at that. So all that being said, I would really like to cast on the Vertices Unite shawl next, so we will see where we go with that. I don't have any yarn in mind, but yeah, that's something to be considered for down the line. Okay. Right, on to some treats that have arrived in the post for me since I last podcast. The first one to show you, I've spoken about this dyer before. You will all know how much I love Helen from Yarn Tan Tethera Yarns, and she has, I don't know if this is a new colour of yours, Helen, but I don't remember seeing it last year. And when I was looking on Helen's Etsy pages a couple of weeks ago, I saw this colourway, and when you'll see it, you know why I had to get it. But it's called, the colourway is called Submarine. It's on her Pedro base, which is one of the bases that I really like knitting with. It's a 75-25 superwash merino nylon. It's a 4-ply sock yarn, 100 grams, 464 yards. And this is it. Blowing out a little bit, that's a bit better. So you can see why I liked it. All the blues, really my colours. I love this blue in particular. Gorgeous. Yeah, really pleased with that. Thank you, Helen. I do have a habit, as we all do, or most of us do, of buying these lovely skeins of yarn and sticking them in our stash. But I think these would make such a lovely pair of socks, spring socks, that I might cast on something with these next, cast on a pair of socks with these next. I'm thinking that they would make super Mercury socks, but we'll see. Anyway, so there's Helen's label. That was a lovely treat to have in the post. Thank you, Helen. I really love it. The yarn is super, super soft, really nice. And then just the only other thing that I've treated myself to, you'll remember or you might remember in the last podcast, I showed you these little lovelies that Helen had sent on to me as a lovely gift. I still sit and look at these every time I go into my craft room. I love them so much. And it really, I'd never come across, or I'd seen the brand, but never owned any 5 Moons before. So I went and had a look on their website, and I was just blown away with their colours. They're really beautifully, I think the word is saturated. That might not be the right word, but it sounds right. Beautiful colourway. So I treated myself to another mini to go with the set. This is, that's called North Sea. And I think you can see why. It's very minerally and greeny, tealy blue. Beautiful. So I thought they all made a nice collection together, and I'm thinking something like striped mittens, or I said I wasn't going to put them on my feet, and I think that's the right thing to do, but they would make lovely striped socks. I don't know. Some of you gave me some really good suggestions for some striped shawls, which I'm considering as well. But that wasn't all. I showed these on Instagram, but I just, I'm so in love with these 4 skeins of yarn. So looking around the Five Moons website, they had the minis, but they also had these beautiful 50-gram skeins. And you know how much I like neutrals rather than the brighter colours. So when I saw these, I had to take them. They had to be mine. So what we have here, the 2 in the middle are the same. They are both, the colourway is Vermin, and actually that's the same as one of the minis that Helen gifted me. So larger versions of that. And then this one is, I think this is Bone. Yeah, Bone. It's a very lovely bone coloured yarn. And then this one I think is, yeah, Choco Glaze. Very dark chocolate brown colour. And I just love all these. And I'm thinking actually that these would make a really good Vertices Unite. I think I'd need another colour to go in with those, so I'll have a look, see what I can find. But that would be a good combo for that shawl. But yes, I'm very smitten with Five Moons. Their website is www.fivemoons.co.uk. So they're a UK-based dyer. It says hand dyed in the Black Down Hills in Devon. My in-laws live in Cornwall, as I mentioned earlier, and when we come home, when we go and visit them and come home, we drive through the Black Down Hills, and it's just such a beautiful part of the country. When we're driving through them, I sit and think, oh, I'd love to live here. And if Five Moons are based there, then yeah, I'd even more so like to live down there. Yeah, really happy with those. So yeah, we'll see what we do with them. I don't want them to sit in my stash for too long. So that's all my treats. What else have I got to tell you? That's it really for the knitting content. I wanted to have a very quick chat about some things that are going on in my Etsy business. If you didn't want to hang around for that, I completely understand, and say bye-bye and catch up with you again soon, I hope. But if you're interested to hear what my plans are, then stick around. Have a quick drink and then we'll get into that. Okay, so I had a shop update a few weeks ago, which sold out in seconds, it felt like. Not quite, but certainly within a few minutes it had sold out. So thank you ever so much to everybody who bought a bag in that update, and I'm so sorry to those of you who missed out. I have had some custom orders. I had some slots for custom orders, and all those have now gone out, and I know that they've been reaching their respective homes. Thank you for getting in touch and letting me know that you've had those. I am busy squirreling away in my craft room upstairs on new bags. I've been asked recently for a lot of sort of swaps, and I've been offering some bags to other podcasters for prizes and things like that. So that's what I'm currently working on. Excuse me. But I have also been working on some new bags for the shop. So new standard bags. I've got a little pile of those waiting to go on in a future shop update. But I've also been working on some different types of bags. Got a new, completely new style of bag that I'm just waiting on a few bits and pieces for to be able to sew those up. And then I have also been working on a big bag, and I thought I'd just show you this because I rather like it. You can see, how big it is. It's massive. This is the back. And this is the front. I love him or her. I don't know if it's a male or female sheep. But when I saw this fabric, I thought, oh, I know what you're going to be. Now this bag is intended for big projects. I have, just as an exercise of interest, I have filled this up with yarn, so you can see how much it can hold. And I haven't counted them. I thought I would count them out here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 skeins of yarn. Gosh, now, those skeins that have just come out from some of my favourite dyes, I literally just picked them out of stash. They make a really nice picture. Anyway, so that bag holds 11 skeins of yarn, of sock weight yarn, fingering weight yarn. So that will give you an idea of what you can fit in here. Now I thought it would be really good for big chunky sweaters, for your sock yarn blanket, for your crochet blanket or your mitered square blanket. I've put a couple of, you can see there, a couple of, it's not showing very well, a couple of pockets on one side, and it's huge. It's really nice. So that's one of the bags that I've been playing about with over the last couple of weeks. I've got some more of that fabric on order, so there will be some more than one of those available when they go into the shop. Yeah, let's move that out of the way. Let me show you this pile of yarn. Ooh. Isn't that lovely? We are so lucky as knitters and crocheters to be able to work with such beautiful products, such beautiful materials. I could sit here and look at this for ages and be very, very happy. Lovely. Okay, see if there was anything else to tell you on that. No, that's all really. So I think I will leave it there. I think my husband will be back very soon. It's heading towards lunchtime on Saturday the 25th of February. I think that's right. It's definitely a Saturday anyway. So I will love you and leave you for now. I hope to be back in a few weeks' time, probably towards the end of March, where hopefully I will have some new finished objects for you. I imagine there'll be at least a pair of socks in there, and progress on some other bits and pieces and maybe a new cast on. So until then, thank you ever so much for watching. Please do hit the thumbs up and like if you've enjoyed what you've been watching, and don't forget to subscribe, and then you won't miss out on any future episodes. You can also subscribe to my mailing list on my website, eldenwoodcraft.co.uk, and if you do that you get notified of any new posts that I add to there. So the sorts of things that I put up on my website are shop news, show notes for the podcast, and I'm hoping really to get my website, it's certainly up and running, but I'm planning to use it more frequently over the coming year, really build up on that. So if you go and join the mailing list for that, you'll be automatically notified by email whenever I put anything new up. So even if you're not on Instagram, which is where most of my sort of news comes out, you won't miss anything by signing up to the mailing list, and you'll be notified there. Rambling a bit, I think, so I think that's a good point to say goodbye. Happy knitting, happy crafting, and enjoy the slightly warmer weather that I think we are approaching. It's a bit grey outside today, but we've had some really lovely weather here in the UK, other than Storm Doris, which I think, best enough said about Storm Doris. That was a bit of a blowy one. Anyway, I really am rambling now, so I will say goodbye, love you and leave you, and thank you ever so much for watching. Bye!